Boom. That is from one of my my favorite movies, but nevertheless, what's going on, yo? This is your moron with the conscience, aka conscious moron, sitting outside on the deck. What the heck am I doing? I was on TikTok live earlier, and I had a little incident and kind of blew my top. Kind of, just a tad bit, smidgen. Not a whole. It wasn't a whole lot, though. It was. It kind of was, but I was having a talk with a younger brother. It was just we were talking about race, but it was a panel full of us, and, mixed a couple of black people, a couple of black people. White people really kind of staying out of the conversation, so to speak, or they weren't really saying how they feel, and just the misinformation the brother had just said. It was, nevertheless, it was just the hate, and I went off on dude. I didn't feel right about it. But I don't know. I just don't understand why we hated that. I think my thing is when there are black Republicans, they have the white people's ear. Now, why not just be truthful with them? Like, yeah, black people do have some issues, but there are some things that the system caused that we have to address. So we got to address those. So we can't bleed them out and act like it's nothing. And just sometimes we won't do that. So I hopped on Twitter. Of course I hopped on Twitter. What was trending? And what was trending? Black America. Black America was trending. But I want you to repeat this real quick. Play this again.
Finally, he said something to the effect of, look, if we have to create stories in order to bring attention to what's happening, the media, he admits they made it up, right? As opposed to, and if you listen to the full clip, he says, by drawing attention to what's happening on the ground, it's just.
Now they're literally talking about the comments that J.D. Vance made on CNN's show with Dana Bash about him creating stories. But they're literally talking about, about the story that J.D. Vance made up about the Haitians in Ohio, like literally made up. This is a made up story. And we were on the pen. I was kind of talking about, and I did it in the YouTube video about the cocaine crazed Negro kind of phrase that was used back in the day to scare white people into believing that when black people took cocaine, that they would become crazy and want to attack white women in a lustful way. But it just, like, this whole Haitian thing just gave me that vibe, and it's just like, we forget that. And not saying that we have to bring it up every time, but we have to bring it up when it comes back in our face again. We have, like, but I think both races, black and white, have this magical amnesia about what has happened in the past, and we try to forget it when we should talk about it and get it out the way. But let's continue. Just wanted one more thing, but just people what she's saying.
Right.
As this line goes online, you don't hate the media enough. Go ahead.
You remember Alternative Facts with Kellyanne? They did the same thing. She wasn't saying you make up fictions and pretend they're facts. You bring other facts to bear in the debate that are being ignored. And that's what he was saying. And I think it was in that interview where Dana Bash says, the police have gone through 11 months of recordings of calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds. Only 2 calls. Yeah. And I think one lesson in this whole story, people to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese, calling to complain about Haitian migrants.
What?
Calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds. Only 2 calls. And I think one lesson in this whole story, people don't care about geese. People really hate geese. You know, they all things considered, I think people would prefer Haitian migrants to come and take the geese off the golf course, right? So it's pets, it's the cats and dogs has become the standard. Geese clearly don't matter.
I mean, I read online they're protected in Ohio, so you kind of.
They're protected in Ohio. The geese, of course, not the migrant. It sounds like he said migrant. Yeah, but just hold on this.
Because you're to decide.
Don't baby up. I was looking at this.
It's literally not duplicated anywhere on, especially the African American experience. It's literally not duplicated anywhere on earth in history. African Americans are a completely unique phenomenon as a people. Who they are culturally, what their history is, what their experience is, isn't duplicated anywhere on earth. You don't know where you came from. You don't know what country you came from. You don't know what culture you came from. You don't know what language you came from. You don't know what your religion was before. You, like I've said before, you're more American than anyone because you don't have any other identity. Actually, your entire identity is American based. That's not the case of anyone else. I'm Irish American. I'm German American. I'm Italian American. I'm Jewish American. I'm this or that, the other. You can say African American, but you don't know anything about Africa. You don't even know which part of Africa. Africans don't call themselves that because I know my tribe. I have my language. I have my region, my country, my whatever. Like me saying European American. I'm not European. I'm specifically Irish and German. But you can't say that. You are American. You're the original Americans. You know, everyone else is immigrants. You can't even be called immigrants. You know, you're originally American, and your culture is as close to being the indigenous culture of America as there can be without you being the indigenous people. You know, you're the indigenous people of the entity called America, called the United States of America. Everything else came from elsewhere. Your culture is the only one that came from right there because you were cut off from everything else. You know, there's nobody else like that. There's nobody else like that in the world. There's no other culture like that in the world.
Scary and beautiful at the same time, isn't it? But my uncle used to say that to me all the time. That's why we're lost, because we have no foundation. We don't know where we're from. So we don't know where we've been. How could we know where we're going? He questioned my last name, which happens to be German. So that isn't your, you're not a German. How did you get that name? Imagine me hearing this at 13. So that is kind of, at times, what shapes me. And, you know, I realize that all people have prejudice and all people don't have, well, not all people don't have prejudice, but people, some people with those prejudices can learn to ignore them and get to know the person instead of the entity itself. And I guess I still got to keep working at it as a human being, right? But the thing is to keep working at it and try and get some understanding. So I guess I got to do some understanding myself. Let me get out of here. Sorry, I hit the mute button, my fault. But let me get up out of here, y'all. Once again, this is your moron with a conscience, aka conscious moron. And remember, without you, there is no moron. Be safe.